It's my pleasure to present you today how the EU Soil Observatory is providing knowledge and tools to support soil health EU and to support soil policies at the EU level. I made this presentation together with my colleagues at the EU Soil Observatory, hosted at the Joint Research Center at the European Commission, especially together with my colleagues Panos Panagos and Arwin Jones, who couldn't be here, unfortunately. Okay, so we had already a proper introduction by the previous presentation, so I just added the slides to highlight that indeed we need to act now, and the time to act is now to really make steps towards soil health in the EU. You have probably seen these numbers already. Around 60% of our soils in the EU are currently degraded and are facing one or more soil degradation processes. We also see that this cost of soil degradation is estimated at around 50 billions of euros annually. And beside that, we have 25% of land in southern and central Europe at high risk of desertification. And we see thousands of sites that are currently contaminated and need to be remediated. So indeed, time to act is now. We need a strong research community. We need new technologies, new innovations, and we need policy actions to really make these steps towards soil health. And this is also why this type of conferences are so important to join forces, to start new collaborations, and to work together towards soil health. And this is also why the EU has set up a framework for soil protection. Framework for soil protection set up along the lines of the EU Green Deal. And it consists of three main pillars. We have in green the pillar on soil policy, the policy framework, consisting of the EU soil strategy and the soil monitoring law, the soil monitoring resilience directive. We have in yellow the pillar of the research and innovation funding, which is the mission soil. And so it is a very important role for the mission, and so also for many of you in this room to contribute to this framework for soil protection. And we have a third pillar, which is the EU Soil Observatory, where I'm working also at the Joint Research Center. And the EU Soil Observatory is providing knowledge, data, tools to support this framework and to support policy development. And today I will guide you through these three pillars and show you what the status of these three pillars is and what we are actually doing at the EU level. I will start with the green part, with the policy framework. And this policy framework starts actually along the lines of the EU Green Deal with the launch of the EU Soil Strategy for 2030, which was launched in 2021. And the soil strategy aims to have healthy soils by 2050. So indeed, horizon is at 2050, but it also includes actions and concrete measures now. And it includes clear actions to protect, to restore, and sustainable use our soils. It also announced the launch of the soil monitoring law, which I will talk about in a second. And this EU soil strategy is the main EU policy framework for soil protection. But aside that, soil is also a cross-cutting theme among many other policy frameworks. And we have, for instance, the biodiversity strategy, which is, of course, also linked with soils, as soils is a very important pool of biodiversity. We have also links with the climate strategy, for instance. Soils is an important carbon pool. We have links with the Zero Pollution Action Plan, as soil pollution is a very important issue for human health, etc. So you see that we have 14 EU policies, all stemming from the EU Green Deal, that are to some extent linked to soil. But the main policy framework is this EU soil strategy for 2030. And this EU soil strategy has concrete actions, concrete policy actions. And what we did last year at the EU Soil Observatory is that we looked into these actions. We listed all the actions that are in there and looked at what's the status, what's the current status of these actions. And we launched it in the Soil Strategy Actions Tracker. which tracks all these actions listed in the soil strategy. And what we see now is that around 70% of the actions that are listed are now completed by the European Commission, and that we have still around 30% of the actions that are in progress. So you see that the Commission is indeed taking action on these lines, and that the Commission is quite well on track to complete many of these actions listed in the soil strategy. This is how this action tracker looks like. So if you go to the website, you will see the summary graph summing up all the 90 policy actions that are in the EU Soil strategy, and then you see the number of actions that are completed. You can then see an overview of all these individual actions with their status, whether they are completed or in progress. And if you click on them, you will see all details, the details related to the actions. You will see the status, the due date. You will see some links to related policies, some sources. So you can also use it as a starting point to learn more about EU policies related to soils. The tracker now is just limited to the EU soil strategy, the main EU policy framework for soils, but we also intend to extend it to also include other EU policies that are linked to soils, and so to also include actions linked to the climate strategy or the biodiversity strategy, etc. So that's a work in progress. Second important part of the policy framework is the soil monitoring law, the soil monitoring resilience directive, which was proposed by the European Commission in 2023. And once this soil monitoring law will be adopted, it will be a really milestone for soil protection in the EU, as it will be the first ever legislation on soils in the EU. And it will include clear objectives again to achieve healthy soils by 2050, but it will also include definitions on what is a healthy soil. So once adopted, we will have a legal definition of soil health, a legal definition on soil health, but also on how to measure and how to monitor these soils based on the descriptors and the criteria included in the soil monitoring law. It will also include services and support to member states to support them to implement the law. It will contain a list with sustainable soil management practices, and it will also contain some actions on contaminated sites and on the remediation of these contaminated sites. And of course, also in the reporting aspect, so that the data collected within the soil monitoring law will reach the public and can also be used for evaluation. Regarding the status, so in 2023, we had the proposal of the Commission. In 2024, the European Parliament adopted its position. And also in 2024, the Council adopted its position. And now currently ongoing is a trilogue process in which in this trilogue process, the European Parliament, the Council and the European Commission are currently negotiating and are trying to find a final agreement on the text of the soil monitoring law. This trilogue process is ongoing. Also this week, the trilogue will continue, and when there is news from it, we will keep you updated. That's not the final step. After the final agreement in the trilogue process, we still have a second reading within the Parliament and the Council, and then we can potentially move towards the adoption of the law. Now, regarding the role of the EU Soil Observatory in creating and implementing the soil monitoring and resilience directive, in the past, USO has been contributed a lot, especially to the impact assessment and by providing scientific evidence and scientific background information. And also in the future, USO will play a key role in the implementation of the soil monitoring law. We will upgrade the European Soil Data Center so that it can host the data that is coming from the soil monitoring law. We will create a soil health data portal as the main platform
to host the data coming from member states and to for outreach to make it available for scientific community, for the wider public. We will upgrade the Lucas Soil module and update it so that it reflected the needs of the law, and we will provide support to the member states. And then moving to the third part of this talk, towards the third pillar of the EU Soil Protection Framework, which is the Mission Soil, here displayed in yellow, which is the main funding mechanism for research and innovation, and which is a very important aspect of the EU Soil Protection Framework.
And the Mission Soil aims to create 100 living labs to co-create, test, and pioneer innovation for soil health, and also aims to advance the knowledge on healthy soils. And it has four main building blocks. We have in blue the research and innovation program, and there we see that since 2021, EU funded more than 100 million euros to 50 projects funded so far, and 13 projects are about to start later this year, and we will have new calls in 2025, 2026, and 2027. 7 building blocks are the living labs. The living labs, there we have the first 25 living labs started in 24. 20 living labs will start in 25, and then by 2030, we hope to have 100 living labs covering more than 1,000 sites where there is a co-creation and testing and innovation for soil health. Third building block is the soil monitoring. This part is managed by the USO, where we are trying to harmonize this monitoring at the EU level. And we have a 4 building block on soil literacy and on citizen engagement and increasing the citizens' awareness of soils. The role of the EU Soil Observatory in this is that we are responsible for soil monitoring building blocks. We are also contributing to the research agenda and the annual work program of the mission. And of course, we have many collaborations, which are very fruitful, very useful collaborations between USO and many of the Mission Soil projects, of which I listed just a few here. We have the collaboration with Soilwise to create the project data catalog to host the metadata of the data coming from the Mission Soil project. We have collaboration with AI for Soil Health and benchmarks on soil monitoring, but also on progress on indicators and etc. We have the ECHO project on citizen science and many, many more. And we are really, really thankful. And for this collaboration, I think it's really a good way of collaborating. And that brings me to this third pillar of the soil protection framework at the EU level, which is the EU Soil Observatory, the main place, the main hub for data, knowledge, and tools for policy support and soil monitoring. And in the next few slides, I will show you how the EU Soil Observatory is doing this and how it is providing policy support. So these are the main objectives of the EU Soil Observatory. At the top, we have this knowledge for soil policy. That's our main goal, to provide support to policy making. Next to that, we have support to research and innovation, stakeholders interactions. We have our data center, the dashboards, and Lucas for soil monitoring. And in the next few slides, I will guide you through these different aspects of the EU Soil Observatory. So first, policy support. I already talked a bit about how we are providing support to the soil monitoring law. We provide support to the soil strategy and emission soil. Besides that, we are also working for the carbon removal certification framework, for the nature restoration law, the common agricultural policies, etc. And another highlight in 2024 was the launch of this report, the State of Soils in Europe report, which was a very important Science for Soils policy report If you haven't not yet had a look at it, please scan the code. You can download it for free. It's a very useful and very important science for policy report showing the main status of soils in Europe. It is published every 5 years, and it is really a really strong report to show to policymakers what's the state of our soils at the EU level. Second aspect of EUSO is the Lucas Soil Survey, which is the main standardized, harmonized monitoring framework that we have at EU level. We had surveys in 2009, 15, 18, and 2022. The results of 2022 will become available early next year, and it covers around 40,000 sites. These samples are then sent to the lab, where they are analyzed in a standardized, harmonized way. The samples are archived in the Joint Research Center, so also the samples from past campaigns are still available, are still there in the archive. And this data set is really a very important source for information, as it helped us to create these maps on indicators, on soil degradation. It allows us to create the soil degradation dashboard, and it allows us to support policy making at the EU level. So a very important source of information for us. And that brings me to the third aspects, the dashboard, the monitoring of soil health at EU level. So we have the soil degradation dashboard, or user soil degradation dashboard, launched in 2023 and updated in 2024. It now contains 19 soil degradation indicators, actually being the showing the state of the art of scientific work at the EU level, EU databases. And then based on these data sets, based on the thresholds and based on the one out, all out approach, it shows us where healthy soils are located. And it's a very powerful tool to policymakers at national or at EU level why it's so important to take action on soil health, where to take action, and where the most hotspots are for soil degradation. These are the indicators currently in the dashboard. So we have 5 indicators on soil erosion, we have on salinization, soil compaction, organic soils. We have 3 indicators on soil nutrients. We have an indicator on biodiversity, 5 on pollution, and then of course also soil sealing. And of course, we know that this dashboard is not perfect. There is still a lot of uncertainty related also to the thresholds, and there is still work to improve it. But also this is an opportunity for you also to collaborate with us to bring up new indicators, to bring updated maps, updated indicators, improved thresholds. And I think this is also an invitation to collaborate on this dashboard and to improve it and to further progress our monitoring framework. And our plan is to extend this dashboard. Today we have the soil degradation dashboard. In a few years, we hope to have not one dashboard, but several dashboards, all hosted within the EU Soil Health Data Portal, which will not only host scientific data, but also the data coming from the member states. So once the soil monitoring law is adopted, member states will collect data and will send them to us, and we will host these data and make this data available for everyone. We will also have some dashboards on soil pollution. We will have soil data catalog, a dashboard on the certification, on the progress of the mission soil objectives, but also there is room for dashboards coming from mission soil project. So if you are creating dashboards, there will be some room to include these dashboards in the data portal. Fourth aspect of EUSO is ESDEC, the European Soil Data Center, which is active now for more than 10 years and which hosts a very important amount of data on soil health. We have 120 data sets now, and it's really aimed to be the main single stop shop for soil data at EU level. It has 6,000 maps, 700 scientific documents, and really a high amount of visitors every year, with over 10,000 of data downloads every year. And we hope to further improve SDEC, especially when the soil monitoring law is there. We hope to, we will add the soil data flows coming from member states to USO. We will add the data flows coming from Mission Soil, and also try to integrate other data flows such as Earth observation, etc. The fifth important aspect is supporting soil research. I talked already about collaboration with Mission Soil projects, but beside that, we are also we have also in-house research activities. We publish every year more than 40 publications yearly, which are not only which are also quite important publications, such as here, for instance, last month we published in Nature Communication this new publication on soil organic carbon risk index, showing that between 20 and 40% of the EU agricultural land is at risk of losing carbon, but also that there's still quite some room for improvement and to help mitigate climate change and generate carbon credits. Next aspect of USO is supporting citizen engagement. We create atlases, we create online courses, conferences to increase soil literacy and soil awareness. Last month, we had the soil literacy workshop hosted at the JRC on-site meeting organized by USO with the support of ENSA and Mission Soil, to really drive a revolution in soil awareness. And it's actually an extension of this Mission Soil cluster on communication and stakeholders involvement, where we also include other actors and other stakeholders outside the Mission Soil. And you're really welcome to join this community. Another important aspect is our stakeholders forum. This year, our stakeholders forum will take place in 3 events. We will have one event in September during the EU Soil conference, which will be an in-person meeting. So you're really happy and welcome to contribute and to submit an abstract to our session at the EU Soil conference. And our main goal is to bring together Mission Soil projects where they can show their main results that they have collected so far. So you can scan the code to go to the call for abstracts. And then we will have a session online in June on soil health and EU competitiveness, and one in autumn on soil literacy, and also on the soil monitoring law and the implementation of it. Just some highlights, but I will now go to this slide here showing the timeline. SDEC started 10-15 years ago with Lucas. Lucas dataset allows us to create all these great maps with soil degradation indicators at EU level. It allows us to create the dashboard. This is where we are now. We have our dashboard. And now we hope to implement also these data streams coming from soil projects. Once the soil monitoring law is there, to implement the data streams coming from the member states. And what we aim to have is that we come from top-down mapping towards a bottom-up mapping, where we have the data streams coming from Mission Soil projects, from member states, from citizen science projects, all together to feed into these dashboards, into this data portal. And so that we can together move towards healthy soils as soon as possible. And I think that's indeed why this conference is so important, to join forces, to work together, and to set up new collaboration so that we can act and we can move towards healthy soils by 2050. And with that, I thank you for your attention.